Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. Today is episode 182. I'm Oscar Meeks, and we got the man, Brad Nye, with us today. Hey, Brad, how's it going?
Hey, 2 weeks in a row, I'm back.
Back, baby, back in the saddle.
Yeah, it's nice. Man, it's still crazy how exhausting, like, just anything. Like I was telling you, I've had to run in and
hmm
do help the IR team with something. And I got back home and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I so tired?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The fatigue, I've still got it some as well. And the weird thing for me, I don't know if you've experienced this, is like joint soreness, which is really strange. Like I started getting like sore ankles, sore
Mm.
shoulders, and I still feel like soreness in my joints, which is just odd.
It's like going up and down the stairs. Like I get, I'm like, oh my god, did I do leg day? My
Yeah,
calves are burning. Why? This is ridiculous.
yeah, right.
What are you gonna do?
Hey, we're on the mend. That's all that's
Getting
important.
better. Yep.
Yeah, getting better
Back.
every day. Yeah, so 4th of July last weekend just wrapped up the holiday. Did you have a good 4th?
Yeah, it was good. Just very chill. Just took it easy. Um, I think we're recording this today. What is it? The 6th, because we were waiting to see what happened over the 4th, and I was surprised. There really wasn't any big
Yeah.
incidents or nothing broke.
Yeah, the same. I have to say I was a little nervous going into the weekend, and I kept an eye on news, and
Yeah,
surprisingly, it was a pretty quiet weekend. So
yeah. At least for us.
for us,
Now,
for us,
if we were talking the Chinese 1 billion person hack that dropped, maybe not so quiet over there, but that doesn't impact our IR business.
yeah, that was pretty insane, right? You were sharing that information with me
Yeah,
before, and a billion, a, a billion citizens, right, in China had
yeah,
their personal data leaked.
yeah. And what was a little scary on that is, well, obviously there's a lot of uh, censorship and blacklisting and all that, and that information was included in there, like arrest records,
hmm
all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it looks like a developer posted a blog that had the creds somehow in the code. Whoops.
Yeah, it's so strange, and it seems like too this is something that, even though it was recently discovered,
It,
that data had been out there for a while.
at least a year, I think, is what I saw.
Yeah,
So, yeah, 23 terabytes.
yeah, I seen that there was an anonymous hacker, going by China Dan, right, listed the data set for sale last week. Is that right?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, end of last week.
yeah. And is that, I assume, what pulled the fire alarm when everybody's like, "Hey, where'd this data set come from?" And then they discovered the leak.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Um, I just saw it this morning, to be honest, but I was reading and like some of the reporters were like, "Oh no way, this is fake," and they called like four people, and all four people confirmed that it was their information, and they're like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
they just randomly picked four people, and it was all correct. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not ideal.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And other
So,
news we could touch on, even though it's quiet for us, which is great. I did see today there was an OpenSSL vulnerability. I'm not sure if you've seen that, a
oh
HISEV
no,
and OpenSSL that could lead to RCE.
oh,
Um,
oh,
the good news is it was the vulnerability was introduced in OpenSSL 3.04, which was just released a few weeks ago,
okay,
and I think there is a fix out now. You can patch um,
that's
to 3.0.5. So if you are running OpenSSL out there and you're on 3.04, be aware of that and go upgrade to 3.05.
yeah. The other one I did see, in case you haven't heard about it, is that Google has patched a heap buffer overflow that would allow a remote code execution. So update your Chrome.
Oh,
Just
another Chrome vulnerability, huh? Another
yeah, came
day,
out on
another.
Monday.
Yeah, maybe
So
retire Chrome. I don't know.
yeah, I only use it for where it's like needed. It doesn't
Yeah,
work properly.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
the other one, which a little bit crazy. I don't know if you saw it. Zuorat, which is Soho devices, so Cisco, Netgear,
Hmm.
all that. It's a bit. It's out there. Make sure we have our marketing people throw some stuff. But yeah, make sure your firmware is up to date and hope for the best. Maybe the manufacturers will update your firmware.
Yeah. So what's the payload with the Zuorat? I haven't studied that one yet.
Yeah, so um, they can use a Python compiled Windows PE that gains credentials and then loads it, and then they can see the local network. That's all.
Okay. And are these mainly home devices or are
Yeah,
these okay?
it's small home,
Yeah.
small office and home.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a good reminder for all of our listeners. If you're not upgrading your home devices, which you should be, I would assume most of our listeners are, this is a good reason for you to go check your home device, see if you're vulnerable to that, and make sure you get it
Yeah,
patched.
and reach out to your family too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like for
100%.
your family that aren't in this industry, make
Yeah.
sure that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Call your granny. Your granny doesn't know how to do that. Go to her house. She'll cook you a
no,
good supper, and then you can keep your granny's network safe.
there you go.
Yeah, that kind of leads us into our conversation today. We're talking about too, right? With what are some good free tools that we like to use that our listeners could use, maybe as part of their job, or even as just part of your regular life and increasing your own personal security as well.
Yeah,
And so thought maybe we'd chew on that for a little bit and have some fun there. And I think then we'll have a couple announcements we'll go through at the end of the episode. And yeah, so maybe we just dig right in. Our first week without Evan. Evan, if
yeah,
you're listening, man, we miss you, brother. And uh, we'll have him back on soon as a guest, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. Like I told my wife, we were gonna do a quarterly down in Mexico with him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, if I get to go," I was like, "No, just me and Oscar, boys' weekend."
Boys weekend. Sorry, we're working hard.
Yeah, right. She didn't buy it. Um, yeah, so some of the things that I know I used a lot, um, things like obviously the sysinternal suite is
Hmm.
huge. That's a phenomenal set of tools. Uh, Bloodhound, if you've never run that on your AD, run Bloodhound and
Hmm.
be scared. Once you realize how, you know, you see them like, oh, hey, there's a uh, orphaned remote desktop from a domain admin that I can get to from that. It shows the steps to get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Bloodhound's a really good tool, and like maybe kind of unpack these a little bit for folks
yeah.
too as we go through them. I think that'd be good. And what Bloodhound essentially is going to do is show you all your Active Directory rights, relationships, and essentially paths that exist. So ultimately, if we're an attacker here, we're going to look for that path to an administrator within your
Mhm.
network. And it's hard to explain that unless someone's actually used it. But it's a very good visual representation. You're going to see things like Brad had mentioned. You're probably going to be unaware of, but it's really going to give you some good actionable items
Mhm.
to go and resolve within your network to reduce that ability for an attacker to get from user to admin. Right?
Yep. Yeah. It was that was one of those ones where I was like, oh, let me run this. Uh,
Yeah,
great. I'm not a
yeah. That's
security guy.
it's a great tool. You get a lot of good information out of it, and that's something we use too in our internal
Yeah.
pen tests. And a lot of attack groups are going to be using that. So there's a lot of information on the web on that tool too. I would
Hmm.
say do some googling, check it out. You could probably teach yourself how to use that tool, and if you
Yeah.
can't, holler at us, and we're happy to educate folks for sure.
Yeah. And
At least
it's
point you to good
really not
resources.
a difficult tool.
Right.
So going back to sysinternals, I have it pulled up because I can never remember all of them that are in there. But you know, the ones that I definitely would have used, AD Explorer, AD Insight, uh, auto runs on servers. trying to remember what there's the lockout tools. Those are huge. Trying to figure out, hey, why does this user account keep getting logged out or locked
Hmm.
out, and being able to show and pull logs from all your domain controllers and pinpoint it and say, oh, well, yeah, no kidding, you used your credentials to run a script and never changed that when you change your password or whatever it is. So
Yeah, that sysinternal suite is
it
sweet.
it
It's
really
really
is.
sweet. Um, there's a lot of useful tools, and again, we use a lot of these tools on the blue team side as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Proc dump is another good one.
Yep.
Procmon is great. Um, I know there's a tool too for enumerating named pops, which is really useful when you're trying to enumerate and identify command and control beacons throughout an environment.
Yeah.
The auto runs, like you mentioned, is great. And these are all Microsoft developed, maintained tools as well. They're typically going to work and be up to
Mm-hmm.
date. So yeah, I would encourage, if you are administering in a Windows domain, if you're not familiar with those sysinternals tools, to go.
Yeah. They have a VM map for virtual and physical memory analysis tool. So yeah, if you're having memory issues, it's just a phenomenal group of tools.
Yep.
I just
I'm going to go simple here and take a different approach
sure.
for something everybody should be using today. And I don't know, hopefully they are. But just keep it simple with the password manager, right?
Oh yeah.
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 And so I think LastPass has a free version. Um, KeyPass, Bitwarden. There's a whole gang of these out there
Yeah.
right now. I would really recommend to folks. And, it's like we talk about the basics a lot. I think this is a good one. Those password managers are so important because it does give you that ability to have unique, complex passwords that aren't human uh, memorable. They're
Right.
not easy to memorize, and being able to have a vault where you store all those and you have unique logons for and unique passwords for
Everything.
everything that you use. And LastPass, for example, has some cool stuff, right? So you can audit your passwords to see if you do have
Mm-hmm.
password reuse, and you can fix those things. You can audit your passwords for weak passwords and get guidance on how to improve the security there. Um, I would suggest everybody get on that. It's a simple, free, easy thing to do that's really going to help
Yep.
protect yourself a lot.
Yeah. If you go to our website too, gosh, a couple of years ago now, but maybe last, I don't know, the pandemic, everything's blurred. We put out kind of what are the most common or password managers, and just had kind of a quick comparison of the ones that we see the most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you're looking for what the different options are, you can just go grab that off of our site, and it'll have there's probably 5 or 6 listed, I think.
Yeah, and I would say the biggest thing for folks with there, like, check that out, pick the one that works for you. I mean, it's really just
Oh,
picking one and using one, but
yep.
is securely using the password manager as well, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
making sure you implement multi-factor on there. Device
Mhm.
trust is another good feature that they have, right? So you could have
Yeah.
MFA and then approved devices as well. So you can ensure that only your devices are logging in. You're protecting with multi-factor. And if another device attempts to authenticate using your master pass, you're going to get a notification of
Yeah.
that. So you'll
Yeah.
likely know that master pass has been compromised before anyone's able to use it.
Yeah. And enable MFA, right? Because then you got one
Yeah.
password protected by MFA with the device lock, and that's probably about as secure as you're going to get.
Yep. Yeah. So I recommend everybody probably should get on that if you're
Yeah.
not.
Yep. Kind of changed it a little bit to talk about home too, because right, like everybody's working from home now. So how do we protect that?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'll be honest, Sophos has a phenomenal their antivirus. You can do the web based. It's the same as their enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but you just are limited to the number of devices you can manage. There's some minor things, but you're getting their full thing. And they also have a unified threat gateway that's completely
Mm-hmm.
free for home use, and it's
Nice.
their enterprise level firewall basically
Mm-hmm.
with no limitations other than how many devices are allowed on the back end type of thing. And it's like
Yeah.
20 25 devices, so
Yeah.
you can get some really good enterprise level protection at your house.
Yeah. That's a great great tool there. I didn't realize that it was up to like 25. That's really
I think it
most
is.
homes. I mean, I guess maybe now a lot of homes are going to be over that, but I have a dumb home and 25 devices is fine for me.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's been a while since I looked. Yeah, no strings attached. Full. Uh, oh no, I take that back. The home edition is limited to 4 cores and 6 gig of RAM. That's the only limitation.
I'm sorry, for what?
Four cores on
Okay. Wow.
4 core
Yeah.
processor and 6 gig of RAM. That's your
Yeah.
limitation.
Okay.
And it's their full featured thing. It's great. Not that
Nice.
I don't get paid by them, but I've had good luck with it. Maybe I
Yeah.
should. Maybe, maybe they'll give me something.
Yeah. I should have been keeping a list here. I'm going to try to do better as we move forward, so we could share some of these tools and notes with folks. So we talked about the Sys internal suite, right? We talked about
Yeah.
Bloodhound.
Yeah.
I'm making a note so we can do good for everybody listening. Sophos
Sophos has some good
and
stuff.
LastPass. All right.
Yeah.
We'll try to get links to everybody. We'll try. I'm not promising. We
Well,
might.
that's marketing's job.
Yeah. They'll help us. And kind of continuing on that path of securing your home, and this is really equivalent to home and business, and it's something that we always talk about. Like, you can't secure what you don't know is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Nmap, it's just a
Yeah.
fantastic tool that obviously we use a lot, and I think that maybe a lot of folks that aren't in our space maybe undervalue the power and the function of that tool.
Yeah.
But it's a really fantastic tool if you're looking, hey, I just want to secure my home network. What lives on my home network, right?
Yeah.
Let me do some
We actually
fingerprinting and understand that.
I have to it was we'll have to find the episode. Evan actually ran it on his home network for the podcast and showed what we
Yeah,
found. And so that was a really good live fire exercise, so to speak.
yeah.
So that's out there as
Yeah, and I
well.
think for home it's useful too. For business though, it's incredibly useful as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Just trying to understand what assets exist internally or externally. It's a very good tool for that. Also for segmentation testing,
Mm-hmm.
it's really effective for that. Again, there's tons and tons of resources, cheat sheet, how-to guides that are available online right now. And if you're looking for a good free tool that you can actually get good data out of,
Yeah.
familiarize yourself with Nmap.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people, often we talk about how important it is to have a system inventory, right?
Yep.
And we hear that they don't have the time to do it, they don't have the budget to do it. I
Right.
mean, just
It's like, come
Nmap
on.
scanning, yeah, you can get a lot of that data with just an Nmap scan if you know how to use the tool properly. And the same
Yeah.
thing for external attack surface as well. Maybe you can't afford the vulnerability scan all the time, but you can afford to run continuous Nmap scans on your external environment
Hey,
and
where's
be
that?
aware if someone turns up a new asset, someone turns up a
Yep.
new
Hey, where's
port,
that port coming from?
anything that changes on your network. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of in line with that too is Wireshark, right? What
Mm-hmm.
is normal network activity? Even if I mean, you talk about cheat sheets and stuff out there. Good lord.
Yeah.
But that's another good thing to what's going on my network.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even if it's filtering, hey, who's talking to my domain controllers? I just want to look at my DNS traffic. You can do some of that basic stuff, and we see it all the time. DNS calls that go out to Norway or Russia or
Mm-hmm.
China. Well, that's probably not great.
Right.
So
Yeah,
just
for sure.
knowing what's going on.
It's a fantastic packet analysis tool. And two, that kind of leads to what I was going to talk about. And it's funny, you'll laugh when I say this probably, but honeypots in general. And,
Yeah.
um, and depending now, we definitely have some opinions on how to effectively use a honeypot, which I don't think we'll get into in depth today, but there is a lot of great value in a properly deployed honeypot. And I specifically really like seeing a honeypot internally. There's a lot of methods we could use honeypots internally too, even if you're in an active hunt situation. For example, Brad was just mentioning DNS traffic, and you think about if you have this honeypot stood up, you want to sinkhole all those DNS requests and route them to your honeypot. and if we have a beacon that's operating on DNS, I could sinkhole every DNS request to go to my honeypot, and I'll know quickly every system in my network that's trying to beacon out
Yeah.
to the malicious server. And so there's a lot of effective uses of honeypots, and I think the Wireshark goes hand in hand. Like you're going to have Wireshark running on your honeypot and be able to hopefully dissect these payloads as they attempt to leave your network, but they're going to be tunneled to that honeypot
Yeah,
instead.
I think the biggest issue that I'm with you. The value for a honeypot is enormous, but the problem is how many people have the time, capacity, manpower to set one up properly and actually monitor it. So I think it's a more targeted tool, but yeah, absolutely, the value is can be immense.
Yeah, it is, and I agree. It's not something that every listener or every user, every business is going to have the ability to strategically deploy honeypots and actively monitor those. We understand that, but they can be very strategically used in the right situation and give a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
That kind of leads to right into another thing, which is we're talking about the honeypots. Then maybe we shift into cyber threat intelligence and
yeah.
talk about like good free sources for that. I personally like the Alien Vault OTX threat feeds; those are fantastic. InfraGard's got some good stuff. The CISA exploited vulnerability list is awesome. And then I have to plug Project HiFi as well. We have a free threat feed for Project HiFi. And all of our listeners, you can go there and get into that today.
Yeah. The thing I like about HiFi is that it's not just like the list of CVEs. There's a little bit of a write-up, but it's not long, right? It's just a quick, 2-3 minute read of, hey, here it is. Here's the guts of it. Here's what you need to do. And then links to go wherever.
Yeah. We give you the TLDR.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, here's the TLDR. And there's typically a little bit of personality too. We have some funny titles, maybe some salt sometimes. I'm not sure what we would call that. But yeah, we try to keep it light and fun, and we try to keep it relevant too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Alien Vault, CISA. I mean, obviously there's good news sources out there. The ones that I kind of go to are, Threat Post, GB Hackers, Hacker News, InfoSec Magazine, Dark Reading. Obviously there's tons of them, but those are the ones that I seem to see up to date and on top of things.
Yeah, I would mirror that list as well. I do like Ars Technica too. There's some pretty good stuff that pop up on there.
I was gonna say Ars and Krebs. They tend to do more in-depth analysis, so it's maybe not as fast, but it's going to typically seems to have a little bit more technical information.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And then the other one, real quick, because it's just makes me laugh, is again going to Sophos, but it's Naked Security. They have a blog, Naked Security blog, and it's actually really good. So,
yeah, I would say, and that's good for everybody to get in tune with your favorite feeds, your favorite news sites, and just make that part of your day, right? Having coffee in the morning, just check those threat feeds, those news sites, and see if there's anything that's going to be relevant to you and your organization. And hopefully not, but that's one way to stay ahead and keep in tune there.
Yeah, typically I'll first thing in the morning just pull them up, see if there's any new articles, and then when I get back from lunch, has anything broken during the day, during the morning?
Yeah, pretty much. I like to start my day. I always look at my calendar and see what I have for the day. I always go through any emails that have already popped in or I may have missed overnight, and then check the news and see if there's a storm coming. So yeah. And speaking of threat intel as well, I think another thing that we talk a lot about is doing that OSINT and recon on yourself. And one piece of that's really important is looking for lead credential sets in public
Mm-hmm.
repositories. And so there are a couple of tools that we use, dehashed and have I been pwned. And I would encourage everyone, for your personal self and your family, check for records in there. Make sure you're not
Oh
using
yeah.
any passwords that exist in there. And the same for businesses too. Be sure and check your businesses and see
You
if you
know,
have employee credentials that are
yeah.
finding their way into those databases.
If you for our listeners, if you use S2Me, it's s2me.io. When you enter your email, you can enter as many emails as you want, but personally, it'll search. They have it integrated to search those things for,
Hmm.
uh, you know, leaked credentials, and it'll notify you if a new breach occurs with your information.
Yeah,
From
that's
a
fantastic.
customer or from a business perspective, if you're using S2 Team, same
Hmm.
thing. Any user that signed up, as they'll get the alert, but as whoever's managing that S2 team, if there's a new breach that comes out that includes your company's credentials, it'll alert you. So
Nice.
S2Me is totally free. I mean, S2 Team's not, but just some more tools to give people to hopefully make
Yeah,
their
for
life
sure.
easier.
If all of our listeners aren't aware of that, they are now. And you should definitely go sign up and go through the S2Me stuff. It's really, really good. And share it, like, Brad, you mentioned earlier, like, share it with your family.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably a lot of our listeners are going to understand the importance of that. Their families, not always. And this is a pretty easy follow the bouncing ball method for them to walk through and then
Mm-hmm.
learn a lot about themselves and how to fix those things after they do the exercise. And I think S2Me is pretty quick, right? You can go through the
Oh
entire
yeah,
thing in like 10 minutes or something, right?
it depends on how much it. If you have to read all the descriptions to understand it, it's going to take longer. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was like maybe 10 minutes. But and they've done a lot of work with it. It's kind of gamified. It's made for the every person, not for the security professional.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
for
where it
sure.
started.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, cool. This has been fun. I think we have a couple other announcements too I want to plug today. One, our very own Brad and I is standing up a new educational series that's going to be on YouTube. I think we're going to do an accompanying blog with every video that goes up. And I don't know, Brad, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So short, quick hits. Going to be whatever I find interesting. Um, just showing how these things work and if there's ways to protect yourself, what that is. So looking at things like Power Automate. How do we protect from exfil? So pulling that up and showing the steps and having the commands there. Uh, there's any sort of new exploit that comes out. There was password protected Excel that drops a Trojan, or a PDF that's we can explode and show real time what it's doing. So be kind of fun, a little bit technical, and
Nice.
whatever catches my interest.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It sounds like a lot of fun. So essentially, you're gonna be finding new vulnerabilities, new exploits, and doing like a 2-3 minute video and saying, "Here's the guts. Here's how it works," and then giving folks the information on how to fix it. Right?
Right? Yeah. I mean, obviously there's write ups for a lot of these, but it's different to see it actually run versus screenshots. And
Hmm.
some of those you see the screenshots, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then you run it and realize that this Trojan is embedded, has multiple backdoors, and it took seconds. Right? Like how
Right.
fast some of those work. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like pretty exciting stuff, man. Looking forward to seeing those videos pop. And I'd say too for our listeners, I think it's going to be whatever Brad finds amusing and fun. But also, if you guys have things you want us to throw on
Oh,
that info second, I bet Brad would listen. I think he would.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, if there's
Yeah.
things that people are wondering about, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Heck yeah. The other thing is, I did want to let folks know that we are doing Hacks and Hops again this year. That's going to be October the 6th in Minneapolis. I think we have more information on our website, FRSecure.com, how to register. I think they have the speaker list up. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
you can find more information about it there. It's going to be a great time for sure.
but
Those events are always awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be nice to get back and see people in person.
It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm sure that we'll
What is the
have a lot of
virtual
our
one
listeners
was?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the virtual one, I think we did a really good job.
Oh,
It was great, but
it's
in
tough
person,
playing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be nice. Just get to see everybody feel human again. That's always great. But it is going to be at US Bank Stadium too, which is an
Very
awesome
cool.
venue. I think everybody knows that. So yeah, if you're interested, actually we have a website for it. It's just hacksandhops.com. You get CPE credits. There's going to be 8 speakers. There's going to be food and drinks, I'm sure. And right now they just sold out of tier 2 passes, so those prices will continue to go up. But I think tier 3 should kick off here in the next couple of days.
Nice. I'm definitely going to
Yeah,
be there.
heck yeah.
I'm probably on the
Um,
speaker list. I haven't even looked. Yeah, yes, you will be there. No, sorry.
yeah, so super cool. I think that's all the announcements we had today. Um, and for our listeners too, if you guys have ideas for topics, things you'd like to hear us dedicate an episode to, let us know, and we'll try our best to accommodate there. Otherwise, this has been fun, man. It's been a
Yeah,
good time.
good first episode with you know kicking off. Evan, like you said, we miss you, but here's to another 180 some odd
Yeah,
episodes.
here's 180 more, 182 today, right? That's what we said. Yeah,
Yep,
182.
almost 4 years.
All right. How about shout outs? What you got, man?
Um, man, you know what? I'm gonna give a shout out to one of our pin testers. Telling you about this, Matt Dowd. Just completely crushed a pin test. It was great. So, and we always like to tease like pin testing versus VCSO and all that, and they, he did a really good job.
Yeah, Matt is a fantastic pen tester. He's a fantastic person, period. And I love to like I've heard him on a couple of his deliveries, and he's got such
He's
an
so,
amazing cadence for delivery. I mean, he can
he's so
deliver.
chill. He just
Yeah, he's so
doesn't.
relaxed. He's a really good educator. He makes sure folks
Mhm.
understand. So yeah, I like that. Shout out to Matt Dowd. Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out today to the blue team, just because I know everyone was on pins and needles going into the holiday, and they actually got to have a holiday without an emergency happening. And so I hope everyone enjoyed their holiday. I haven't heard of any digit loss, so I think everybody came back with their fingers and toes today. So that's fantastic. And yeah, just a shout out for those guys. Been at the ready in case things did go wrong and we needed their help. So we appreciate that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Until next week, that's it. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks, Brad. Hope you have a great day, man. I hope all our listeners have a great day as well. We'll talk to you soon.